Former President Donald Trump is set to become the 47th president-elect. NBC and AP announced the news early this morning. We don't know exactly what the final turnout was yet, but the last batch of return ballots posted yesterday showed turnout among voters dropped from 2020, especially young voters.
Yeah, that's right. Here to help break down all of this is Seth Maskey. He's a political science professor at the University of Denver. Seth, you actually encouraged your students to get out the polls and make their voices heard. What was your message to them to do so?
Yeah, we had a pretty big turnout operation, honestly, at the University of Denver. We worked with a number of groups just to make sure that students knew about the election. There was actually a polling center on campus. We make sure that people had access to it, that they had knew how to register if they wanted to register in the state and when to get their ballots in. So there was a lot of activity for that, and as near as we can tell, turnout was pretty high, at least among the students.
Early voting numbers from the Secretary of State's office showed young voter turnout was lower than 2020. Are you surprised by that at all?
In some ways, I wasn't that surprised. It was down a little bit more than I expected it to be, but in some ways, 2020 was such an unusual year.
Yeah.
You had the pandemic going on. A lot of people were just at home paying attention to politics. You had all the George Floyd protests that were really engaging a lot of young voters in a way that I guess just did not prove sustainable after that year. So it didn't surprise me that turnout was off a little, but I was surprised that young people really pulled back from that.
Yeah.
Well, you have your work cut out for you now with your classes. Where do you go with this election, and what do you take away from it to teach your students?
Well, I mean, I think one important thing is to remind the students that, yeah, this was an interesting thing to watch, and there's lots of important data to pull from it, but also this is one of the most highly consequential elections. Certainly in my lifetime and quite possibly of theirs, that they're going to be feeling the effects of this election for many years to come. It's going to affect them, it's going to affect people around the world, and to just be sort of paying attention to that. And also think about just what are the lessons that we learn from this in terms of voter turnout, in terms of what campaign tactics actually work and what don't, what the role of campaign money is and where it isn't. There's actually quite a bit to sort out from all this.
I love that you held watch parties last night, because that really is getting young people involved in the process and getting them to think a little bit more. So I think that is just so great.
And a big one too.
Yeah,
60 to 70 students.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it was well attended, and they turned out and they ate the pizza. So yeah.
Yeah, they ate it was
like
probably the
pizza.
pizza, but it's all good. Seth, thank you so much for coming in.
talking
Really
to you.
appreciate it.